Psalms 105. O give thanks unto the Lord, call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him. Sing psalms unto him. Talk ye of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Seek the Lord in his strength. Seek his face evermore. Remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, Unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. When they were but a few men in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it. When they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another, he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes, saying, Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Moreover, he called for a famine upon the land. He brake the whole staff of bread. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron until the time that his word came in. The word of the Lord tried him. The king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people, and let him go free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his substance, to bind his princes at his pleasure and teach his senators wisdom. Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. And he increased his people greatly, and made them stronger than their enemies. He turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. He sent Moses his servant, and Aaron whom he had chosen. They showed his signs among them, and wonders in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made it dark, and they rebelled not against his word. He turned their waters into blood and slew their fish. Their land brought forth frogs in abundance in chambers of their kings. He spoke, and there came divers sorts of flies and lice in all their coasts. He gave them hail for rain and flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also and their fig trees, and brake the trees of their coasts. He spoke, and the locusts came, and the caterpillars, and that without number. He did eat up all the herbs in their land, and devoured the fruit of their ground. He smote also all the firstborn in their land, the chief of all their strength. He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. Egypt was glad that they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. He spread a cloud for a covering, and fire to give light in the night. The people asked, and he brought quails, and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. He opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. They ran in the dry places like a river. For he remembered his holy promise in Abraham his servant. And he brought forth his people with joy, and his chosen with gladness, and gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. So, Psalms 105 is a chapter I think that you should read entirely. It has 45 verses, but I honestly think that is a chapter you should read entirely because it speaks of how there is consequences when we do things on purpose, or we go back into the the Bible calls it Egypt, but I call it go back into what you were delivered out of, or go back to something that you shouldn't be doing. Anyway, there are consequences for that. And sometimes we don't escape consequences. And God does. He does say that there is, if you want to call it a punishment consequence, if you will. Now, verses 23 through 45 basically speaks of that God turned to Egypt against his people. Like, he had freed, Egypt was, like he did free the children of Israel from Egypt. But the children of Israel always wanted to keep going back because they didn't like this or they didn't like that, or they're complaining about everything because they thought that they had better back in sin. And I'm sure we've all heard a person or two that we cared about, and they knew and we knew that maybe their habit or whatever wasn't exactly a good thing. And they said, but they would say, oh, I might as well just go back to whatever. And we all know, and you may know, and I knew, and whatever, that it's a bad idea. And if you really truly care about that person, it breaks your heart to see them go back into something that kept them so held hostage. And that's what the children of Israel did. A lot. They wanted to keep going back because it's something they didn't like or whatever. But it states in those verses 22 to 45 that God turned Egypt against his people. But it was all because he wanted Israel to understand and really see the best way to do things. And Egypt's way was not the best way. But they didn't quite understand that. So basically, Egypt was Egypt to them. And he wanted them to see that there's a better way than Egypt. And sometimes God will do his best to help us see there's better than Egypt. Sometimes he'll let you go back to Egypt. It's your decision anyway. He doesn't make you. He does try to push us in the right direction in various ways. But in the end, it's your choice. You could always be like, no, I'm done. And just walk away. So, but he wanted Israel to see that there's a better way than going back. And sometimes we find ourselves in circumstances that we don't like, but it has us rethinking things. I'm sure there have been many people that was in a situation and they rethought what they were doing. They rethought how they were doing something. Just rethinking it. Just for a moment. Maybe I could change. And what made you even think that? Your circumstances that you happen to be in at that moment and realize you can do it a different way. It can be better. So our circumstances, it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it helps us to get on our knees to make that change that we keep saying we're going to make but never do. God will pull our hearts and turn our hearts out of love. He does not leave situations there. He does not not do anything about situations just for us to just hate him and be like, oh, God doesn't care. No. But out of love, sometimes these situations are to teach you. It's to help draw you to the right direction. So no, it's so, a lot of people say, well, why did God let that happen? Why did God do this? Why did God do that? Well, some circumstances, God didn't do. The people who got in the circumstance did that. God tried to warn them not to do that. They did it anyway, and then they got consequences. Then they want to blame God because of their consequences. And the truth of the matter is that if you just wouldn't have went there, you wouldn't have gotten it. If you wouldn't have chose certain things on purpose, you wouldn't even be here. Now, I understand things happen that we don't ask for sometimes. I get that. But some things that has happened, it's because of our own actions, our own decisions. An example is, let's just take a person who drinks a lot, who one would call a drunk. Now, God has used people in his life to tell him. He's tried to help him, and maybe even got off alcohol once upon a time and got right back on. And this maybe the individual knew that alcohol destroyed his life, but yet we get right back on it because of one reason or another, and we listen to the devil talking about there's no hope, there's no this, there's no that, and we pick up the bottle again, or whatever the vice may be. And so one night they get out to drinking, and then they're dead. Then you have the family members, maybe one or two, asking, well, the Lord, he believed in you, he did this, and you didn't save him, you could have saved him, you could have helped him. But God warned him not to do that. He sent people to tell him not to. He sent help. But in times of trouble, instead of going to the Lord or heading to whoever he needed to talk to, he didn't. He didn't head to God, which is the first person you need to talk to. He went to a bottle, and then he just drank too much, and then he died. There's a reason why God said get off the alcohol. Maybe just God knew that we would kill you, but see, he didn't override. He didn't override his free will. He didn't override it. In the end, that individual chooses if he's still going to do it or not. And some people, they still do it, and they end up dying from it, knowing it's not the right decision. And some people try to get help. But there are others that people have told, you need help, and they just deny it. They deny it. They don't need help. We're going to keep drinking. We're going to keep doing what we want to do. And it's those ones. All of it's tragic, but it's so tragic to have the warning signs, to have the people, and you just say, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I want. That's a sad death. Really sad, because that was truly, and I do mean truly, their choice. So regardless, though, it's all sad. But regardless, we need to make sure that when God warns us about a situation or a problem, that we need to get the proper help. We need to come to the Lord. We need to pray. Truth Church around you. Go to it. Get help. But don't deny it, and don't sit there and just, I don't need that. Or listen to the devil's lie and say, you're worthless, you're a piece of trash. You might as well just die sitting here and drinking your bottle, or smoking this, or snorting that. You might as well just sit there. No, God thinks you're precious. Thinks your family members are precious. He died for every single one of them. And God has no intention for them to go out overdosing on something. Never his intention. But we do make choices. We make choices. We got to get out of ourselves and our feelings. Because when we start feeling a certain way, that's when we want to go out and do things that we shouldn't do. We don't want our feelings and how we feel and whatever to lead us into a bad way, which so many people have fallen prey to that. And it's a very sad story. It's a very sad story. So remember that sometimes our circumstances is not meant to make you want to turn back, but it is meant to make you think about things and turn the other direction. God doesn't want to destroy us. The devil does, but God doesn't want to destroy us. He wants us to he wants us free. And being addicted to whatever you're addicted to, if you're addicted to anything, it's not freedom. It's not freedom. And the devil would love to keep us bound in whatever it is, whatever vice that we may not have. Love to keep us bound. But see, God doesn't want us bound. He wants us free. But to be able to do that, we got to quit turning around to the very thing that keeps us bound in the first place. We got to seek the Lord, seek His help. And He will send whatever He has to send to help you. I've seen it before. I've seen it time and time again with other people. He can do it for you too. So I just want to end up, in the end, I just want to say, turn your hearts to the Lord. Trust Him more than you trust whatever else that we go to. Submit and obey the Lord, because I'm telling you, if you do so, it'll be easy not to turn back to what keeps you bound in the first place.